Hello, my name is Lisette and I will be going over the Sprint 1 meeting minutes for the project Exploring the Unconscious. Our product owner for the project is Dr. Mario Eraso and our mentor is Dr. Masut. So just to quickly review what happened during the Sprint meeting minutes for Sprint 1, during the first meeting, Com and I had already gone over the documentation and the code that was already created for the application and determined that we should use Firebase for our backend. For the following meeting, we had already planned to meet with Mario Eraso to figure out the user stories, and we would also continue to learn Android Studios on our own. Our biggest hurdle in this moment was we were having a hard time determining the best way to reuse the existing code from the previous creators of the application. By the second meeting, we had already met with Dr. Mario Eraso and created our user stories. Com and I were in search for the best way to learn Android Studios, and he actually found a course on Udacity that we would end up taking to learn how to use Android Studios. In addition to that, we had both decided to go ahead and use the existing algorithm from version 1.0 and scrap everything else that team had done. And from there, we determined that we would both continue to learn how to make Android applications using the course on Udacity. However, we did find out, and this hurdle was constant throughout this entirety of the sprint, that the Udacity course is based on an older version of Android and Android Studios. So things were not going to be exactly the way that they were showing in their tutorials when we were going to try to implement them on our version of Android Studios, just because the gap in how old it was so large. So for the remainder of meeting 3, 4, and 5, we pretty much had the same thing going on for each meeting. We were both working on the Udacity course, we were both learning how to make Android apps using it, and we were both facing the same hurdles of the Udacity course having an older version of Android than the one we were actually using. And as you can see here, it's essentially the same thing throughout for meeting 4 and 5. When the second week rolls around and we hit meeting 6, Com already starts to make the mini application, well, his first one, and he decides to do input fields on question 1 and 3 answers with a submit button, just to kind of get the feel of what we need to do when we create our application. And we were both working on creating our first application and working on the Udacity course throughout meeting 6 through 10. The only difference is that throughout each meeting, Com makes progress making his applications, and by the third meeting, he's actually finished his first mini application and uploaded to Bitbucket and starts his second mini application. Com has it uploaded on Bitbucket and completed by meeting 10. However, I actually struggled throughout that entire week because my Android Studios kept crashing and would not run. It wasn't until after the 10th meeting that I was able to create both of my mini applications by the Sunday before the sprint was over, once I went ahead and uninstalled Android Studios and reinstalled it. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and email us. Our emails are on the screen.